Today we're going to be talking about how to stop caring what people think about you. I'm going to share a little bit of advice, but also some stories on experiences that I've been through, and hopefully this can help you through what can be a very anxiety-ridden experience. So when we're looking at why we care what people think, we want to first start at looking at internally what's going on. Because beyond what other people are saying or the opinions they're giving or the opinions they're not giving and you're just hearing things behind your back, really what's most important is your perception of the situation, your perspective. It all boils down to social belonging and validation, which is a very normal evolutionary thing. Humans are social animals, so being accepted by the group is actually a survival tactic. Being accepted in a group can help us progress, so it's actually a very normal thing what you're experiencing. What's not normal is obsessing over what everyone thinks and consistently needing validation with every single step you take, every decision made. If you're a person that's constantly in doubt and you make a decision and you're constantly asking for other people's opinions, it's not going to help you determine what is important for you, what's your best interests, and what does your intuition tell you is the best decision in any given situation. So once we've established the reason and need to care what other people think, the second step is creating a filtration system to decipher, is this opinion in my best interests? Is this opinion serving me in any way that is for my greatest good? If it isn't, then we need to become better at almost like putting the comment aside to really look at why it even bothered us in the first place. Now, typically what happens is when we are very impacted with comments or opinions, usually the disruption comes from having a bit of belief in what they're saying. I'm going to give you an example of this. So something that I've been very self-conscious of since I was very young is my nose. My nose has always been a focal point for me of something that I'm very self-conscious about. When I was posting content, some people would leave really mean comments about my nose, and I would pretty much respond in the best way I could, which was through humor, but it did affect me. It's something that I cannot change. It's something that I've made the decision, at this point, I'm not doing plastic surgery. It's my nose. It makes me me. It's basically how I look, the way I look. And when people were leaving these comments, I can't help but feel like, yes, it was very hurtful because deep down, that was something I was already insecure about. Now, comments are left all the time, and some people leave really stupid comments, but it's only the ones that I feel connected with, that I feel there is some truth in, that really, really bother me. And it really made me think about how we as a society really tend to get affected the most by comments or opinions that have some sort of truth that we feel. Now, that's not the actual truth, that's our truth. Now, once we've discerned if this is in our best interest or it isn't, in the case of comments about my nose, that's not in my best interest, it's not something I can change, and my nose is actually something I'm learning how to love. So as soon as I've identified, okay, this is not something in my best interest, now what I want to do is figure out how can I move past this and almost leave this behind. How do I come to the conclusion that this comment doesn't serve me, this is an opinion that has no bearing on me doing better in my life, and so now how am I going to be able to basically remove it away from me? So there is a trick that I've used, and you can basically try it for yourself, where you close your eyes, you take a deep breath, and then once you've kind of cleared the space, what you're going to do is you're going to imagine you're in a room, a white room, and there are tons of shelves on the wall, an abundance of shelves. And then you're going to visually look at whatever the opinion is, and you're going to hold the opinion in your hand, and that could be a texture, it could be, in liquid, it could be a powder, whatever it is that you visualize this shape or entity to be, and you're going to take it and you're going to put it in a box. And then you're going to close the box, you're going to wrap it with a ribbon, you're going to take that box and you're going to put it on the shelf. And then you're going to take a deep breath in. You're going to hold. And then you're going to breathe out. And in this moment, what we're doing is we're putting that opinion away. And then what you can do is you can kind of do some deep breathing exercises and really focus on just being alone in this space. And what this will help you to do is, as you continue practicing, it's going to help you take that feeling of caring about these opinions that are all stacked on the shelf and just being alone with your own voice. In a lot of cases, we tend to become clouded with other people's opinions and cannot hear our own voice, which brings me to my third point. What people think of you is none of your business. So remember that these comments and these opinions are just opinions. They're just someone else's perception of you. Whether you hear it directly, whether they say it to your face, or you're hearing it behind your back, or you're reading it in some sort of comment, ultimately, that's theirs. They own that perception. But that's none of our business. Even if they come to you and tell you, this is what I'm feeling, that's still none of your business. That's their opinion, not yours. And by becoming sure of yourself and really listening to your inner voice, what's going to happen is you're almost going to become aware of the dichotomy between their opinion and your opinion. The next point is that people do not care about you as much as you think they do. Now, this might be a little different if you're thinking of a parent or a sibling or somebody that, you spend a lot of time with, like your partner. Of course, they will always have you in the forefront of their mind. But in most cases, even in the aspects of our close, immediate family, they're still thinking about themselves before they're going to think about you. And when we kind of can accept that, it actually creates a lot of freedom, because now the onus is not on you to have to try to control all of these opinions and almost like move away from ego. Like, something that really helped me was just realizing that I'm not that much of a focal point in their day. And honestly, if I am, and they're thinking about me more than they're thinking about themselves, like, that's a them problem, not a me problem. Like, I don't have that much time. I mean, really ask yourselves, how much time do you spend thinking about other people? I mean, like, literally sitting there and thinking about what someone looks like, or their hobbies, or their exercises, or what they eat. Like, how much are you focused on that compared to how much you're focused on yourself? Chances are most of you are going to say that you're focused on yourself, which is normal, which is how it should be. I think really opinions is such a interesting thing, or like caring what other people is such an interesting thing, because it does come from a very egotistical mentality of me. Whereas if we can focus on removing that a little bit and like almost like dissipating it a bit, that energy, and really putting the attention on ourselves and understanding that, you know what, I'm not that important, it's going to bring out a whole other selfless side to you that you might not even know you have, but that might be in a better servitude for you. So something that I was experiencing for a long time was I would get in my head that people were mad at me, and I would be so neurotic. Like, it would become the weight of my world. It would become so anxiety ridden that at certain points I would go into my room and I would just like have to breathe, and then I would just break down crying because I was thinking, okay, this person's mad at me. Even though logically I knew I didn't do anything wrong, I still felt like I was doing something wrong. One of the reasons that, like, after I looked into it, it was that I didn't feel confident in myself. I felt like I needed validation. And then even when nothing was wrong, my brain was actually searching for more problems. It was so used to worrying what people thought that as I was slowly healing that part, it was now trying to create fake situations where it was telling me, okay, this person's probably mad at you, and you probably did this, and you probably did this. And like, I'm aware of how crazy it sounds, but that's genuinely so real for me. something that really helped for me was taking that anxious energy and moving it out of my body. Working out was one of the best decisions I made. And even if you don't have the capacity to be going to the gym and working out for hours and hours or eating a super clean, healthy diet, home workouts, put on something for 5 minutes and do some stretches. Get that energy out of the body. Beyond that, as you build yourself at the gym or through eating properly or build that confidence through your body, what's going to happen is that inner confidence is going to start reflecting in other ways. And rather than putting all this energy and focus into being worried about what someone's thinking about you or if they're angry with you, now you can move away from that and almost like remove that energy from you. On the other hand, if you are feeling like someone is angry with you, there are things that you can do. If it's like a legitimate thing and not like in my case where I thought everyone was angry with me, I would just basically bring it up to the person. And what you're basically doing is creating a very healthy way of communicating with someone where it's now not in you, you're just kind of removing it from yourself. So I would just go and ask them, hey, listen, I don't know, I'm just vibing like something's off, am I wrong? And 9 out of 10 times, the person that I was thinking was upset with me was just going through their own thing. They were just having their own situation going on and were not thinking of me at all. And what I thought was correct was exactly what it was. Now, there have been times where I instinctually felt like that. I was holding the anxiety. I just never had an opportunity to talk to them about it. Finally brought it up. And then, yeah, they were upset. And we were able to clear the air. But very important note, when someone is sharing what they're feeling, that is now not an opening for you to be sharing whatever you're feeling. Like, you're not using this situation to now turn it around and start pointing out all the things that you don't like about the person or what's making you angry. This is their time to communicate with you. And by you sitting down, really listening to what they're saying, focusing on strategies or solutions together, you wait for them to finish, you repeat back what you heard to make sure you heard it correctly, and then you ask them, are there certain things that I can do to prevent you from feeling this way again? You are now creating such a healthy relationship with that person or friendship with that person. And it shows a high level of emotional intelligence, of confidence to be able to receive whatever it is that their grievance is and now sit with it, accept it. Okay, this is something that I did. And then now what can we do to move towards a better solution in the future? Now, when we talk about negative comments that we get from strangers online, this is such an interesting topic because there are layers to this, okay? The first thing I'm going to say is that happy, successful, and confident people do not fuck with the negative comments. They do not come in and start giving their 2 cents on what this person's nose looks like or what this person's stomach should look like or why this person is doing this thing. Successful, happy people do not leave negative comments. I need to preface that. They are reflecting onto others whatever is going on with them. And although they may think they're being smart, they may be able to even get away with it. As soon as you go in and start commenting to try to defend yourself, you've lost. Now, there is a way to understand the differences because sometimes someone will make a comment and they're not really trying to be mean. They're genuinely pointing out something that is what they feel. And maybe there's no connotation to it. There's no ill will. They're just saying something, but then the way you're perceiving it is an attack. And that's very important to be able to decipher what those differences are. If you're in a specific type of field where you're sharing a point on, your thoughts on something and they come in and they're in disagreement, That's not necessarily a negative comment. That's just them stating their opinion that they don't agree with you. And it's important to understand what the dichotomy between that is. Now, the second thing I was going to say is there is an energy that we attract. I'll give you an example of this. When I was really young, I had a friend group where it was very common to kind of like talk about each other. It was just very common. That was just the way I grew up. We would just kind of talk about each other behind our backs. And I didn't, every time I would do it, I would feel bad. Like afterward, I was like, this doesn't feel right. But I would just do it anyway, And then I was noticing more and more things were being said about me behind my back. And more people were doing things behind my back. And only when I got a little bit older and I watched this video about gossip, it really dawned on me that I was pretty much attracting that energy like no tomorrow. Now, I'm gonna make a statement here and say that individuals who get bullied also attract that. Okay, stay with me. There is a certain energy that victims put out. And this is me not at all condoning bullying. I'm not saying that a victim deserves it. I'm saying a victim attracts it. Because as soon as you get into that victim mentality and you identify yourself as a person that is constantly having people talking about them, you are now welcoming more and more and more of those situations and energies into your life. Now, if you're so far down the rabbit hole, let's say you're a person that's just been bullied for so many years and you don't know how to get out of that situation, I think the first thing to ask yourself is there any way that I can remove myself from this situation as a whole, right? I know this is not very commonly the case. It's very challenging to just like change schools, or what if you're in a job where your coworkers are bullies, or what if you're in the social media space where all you see are this toss up of different comments. Well, let's go into the comments specifically. The comments specifically, you can shut off the comments. You can not read the comments. You can post and then hop off. Now, yes, engagement is very important, but what's more important is your mental health. I am in the social media space. I have to read the comments. It's part of the process. I've had to stick it through. I've gotten some horrific comments sometimes. I've gotten people sending me death threats in my DMs. I would never wish that upon anybody, but it made me very strong, because when I was looking at who was talking on the other side, it was a very, very, very saddening moment. My thoughts were, how sad for you that you feel this angry. What is going on in your life that you feel this way, that you have to tear other people down to make yourself feel better? Like, you feel that shitty. Now, when it comes to the situations with the negative comments with, at school or at the workplace, I would still argue that there are an abundance of resources that you can use. If it means you have to sit with the teacher at lunch, or you don't go outside for recess because that's your sanctuary where you get mental peace, do it. Like, honestly, do it. When I was in high school, I had a group of friends and we only saw each other at certain points because our spare period was at different times. We had different classes. And at certain points, it was really lonely. And I'll be very honest with you, I wouldn't even sit in the cafeteria. I would eat my lunch at my locker. I would go into the library and I would read. Because I was in such a mentally anxious space that I knew if I went inside in the cafeteria and felt all this anxiety, it was worse than me sitting by myself in the library to just have me time. Nothing is wrong with that. So if you're in school and you just cannot associate, tell the teacher I cannot go outside for recess. I need to sit inside and have lunch with the teacher or in the teacher's lounge. If you need to talk to your parents about it, whatever you need to do to protect your mental peace. If you are in a workspace where your coworkers are bullies, however you need to vocalize that to your human resources department or your boss, whatever you need to do to prioritize your mental health, prioritize it. It is more important to prioritize your mental health and be alone through that than force yourself to have to be social with people who are not on the same level. Now, I wanted to share one other thing that I don't know if Now, the last thing I wanted to share is, what if you're the person that's the judger? What if you're the person that is the one passing judgment? Well, I have something very interesting to say to you, my friend. Get help. It is a very challenging thing to navigate through the world, let alone to be the subject of ridicule or to be the victim of a bully. I really want you to ask yourself if you're providing value by doing this. And if you're not even aware that you're doing it, maybe talk to the people around you if you're sensing something's off. I'll leave today with one story of this girl that we went to elementary school with. And if you ask anyone in our grade, they all know who this person was. She was a very challenging person to be around. She was very, very, very scary when she wanted to be. And she was a bully. She was, in my opinion, the Rachel McAdams of our elementary school. And I remember feeling so much anxiety coming to school. We had a guy bully and a girl bully, but I spent more time, I went to elementary school the entire time with her. And right towards the end, she ended up losing a lot of her friends. They all just got fed up. She was just that type of person. And she changed. I believe she changed. She got a lot better. But high school, she was by herself a lot. And I remember initially thinking I don't feel bad, good for her. But when I really think about the reason that she did it and the reason that she was this way, it was because she was lonely. It was because there was something going on. It was because she didn't have confidence, that she had to feel like she had to impose this power on other people and make them feel like absolute garbage. And I'll be very straight with you, that was where a lot of me caring what people thought of came from. And having to shift that and step into my own power and really focus on how to build my own confidence and always be kind. It really helped me, but I wish when I was younger I knew what I knew now. I wish I had somebody who could really pinpoint that other people's opinions do not dictate my day. I wasted a lot of time focused on what people thought about me. I wasted a lot of time on wanting everyone to like me. I would focus on being humorous and funny to disarm people, because humor and comedy is the fastest way to open someone's heart. And then it just stopped being funny. I wasn't really showing my true self. I was only focused on making sure everyone around me was in a joyful state, but not paying attention to how I felt about myself. So what I want to leave you with is, if you are a person that does care what people think, just remember that the only voice that matters is your own. And if you can take those moments and every day to just really listen inward, I'm telling you, you will notice the changes. I'm going to drop a few resources of videos that I've watched and books that I've read that were really helpful in removing this neurotic need to please. And I hope that if you're going through something or feeling anxiety, just know it is normal. You are not alone. But please know you are going to get through it. You will get through it. You have to believe that. If you are a person that has overcame this need to please, please drop a comment. If you're a person struggling, please drop a comment. And all else, please subscribe if you like this type of content. Okay, talk to you soon. I love you all.